Chinese service. On mainland China, the authorities have long been keen to crack down on dissent. Now, the Communist Party has online celebrity fan clubs in its sights. Officials say that groups of so-called star chasers have the potential to gather en masse and so should be recognised like any other social organisation answerable to the authorities. Our China media analyst Carrie Allen told me more about these celebrity fan clubs and why the government's concerned.
Well, they're basically groups online where lots of young people gather to talk about their favourite celebrity. So you think, here in the West, you've got clubs for Harry Styles where people talk about the One Direction singer and say, he's great and, they share pictures, etc. It's the same thing in China. But obviously there is concern from the authorities because if you've got these large fan clubs, and bearing in mind China is a huge country, so these fan clubs rack up thousands, if not tens of thousands of members, there is the potential for these people to get together and mobilise on a huge scale. So there has been criticism in the past where, say, a celebrity arrives in a city and then suddenly you've got hundreds of young fans all turning up at once. And in a COVID-19 era, that's not great, but there is the potential that people could get aggressive, they could start rioting, and China doesn't want anything like this. So, it's suddenly now thinking that this is a particular group it needs to clamp down on.
So they're carrying out a 2-month, what they're calling rectification drive. What does that involve?
That's going to involve looking at messages that are shared in these platforms, like particularly whether verbal abuse, so where people are getting angry about a certain celebrity or they're talking about other celebrities, they're potentially slandering them, they're spreading rumours. So that's something they're going to be looking at. They're also, the regulator that's in charge of this, the Cyberspace Administration of China, is also going to look at where these groups might be trying to encourage people, particularly minors, to supply funding for certain activities. And also it's going to be looking at where they might be getting together and talking about potentially throwing opinion behind a certain cause, so amplifying certain rhetoric that the government might not particularly want.
And has there been any reaction to this on the fan groups themselves?
Well, not really. I mean, there is a certain irony to this, that in China there is a certain kind of mobilized force, as it was anyway, what's known as the 50 Cent Party in China. And this is run by the government, so thousands of nationalist commenters who try to steer public opinion online. So you see a lot of commenters today off the back of this saying that they support this rectification work. But then there are other people who are today on Sina Weibo, China's version of Facebook or Twitter, saying that it's very difficult for them to get an opportunity to speak about how they feel about this because of these nationalist comments that they're used to. They're unable to get their own opinions across.
Our China media analyst